time to get your fix. Come on down, get your horrible gaming review. 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 Ow!
Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming. Welcome to another horrible game review. Before we get into it today, a few disclaimers as usual. Number one, the word horrible in the title of this content does not necessarily refer to the game or DLC that I am reviewing, but the actual content itself. I do snap judgment reviews here. I get about 5 to 10 hours, sometimes less, sometimes more with these games. I'm just trying to give you an idea if you're going to enjoy them right off the bat or not. This one is a special case as I played it for about 2 to 3 hours, but you'll understand why when we get into it. Because of that, and the fact that I think video games is one of the most subjective forms of art, I will not be giving a score to this review. Instead, I will be telling you whether or not I will be telling you the overview of the game. I'll be telling you the pros and the cons of the game, in my point of view, as all reviews are, then telling you whether I personally will be sticking with the game or not. All right, so that stuff's out of the way. We're reviewing Paw Patrol Mighty Pups Save Adventure Bay. Now, I know this is definitely not targeted to my audience, without a doubt. And you're probably thinking, what is this guy who usually swears a lot reviewing a game that is most certainly for children? Well, one thing I have learned is this channel has, if the demographic is like me, then it's a lot of dads. It's a lot of dads with kids. And those kids play video games, and you want to know, whether or not you want to have a kid play a game. So I also didn't want to miss a week on reviews, and let's face it, I've been a little too into Sifu, so I've decided to review this game, which I downloaded through Game Pass. It's free through Game Pass, and it's Paw Patrol, guys. The plot, really what plot? At least for adults. All of the pets, the super pets, are in this game. Basically, each level has a theme. It starts you with an automatic 2 specific pups, which if you're one player, you can switch back and forth between. If you're 2 players, you can play them simultaneously and still switch back and forth between. Basically, the levels are collectathons for the most part. You collect these bones. You also collect badges to get unlocks, which include mini games and character pieces and stuff like that. And then it usually ends in a series of mini games. There's always like certain things that the specific pups have to do throughout the level, and then there's like a big mini game at the end where all the Paw Patrol kids get superpowers, and then they basically have to save Adventure Bay through this. Look, I downloaded this for my 5-year-old. I played this with my 5-year-old for about 2 hours. She played for another 2 hours after me, and she beat it. So I think we can give a review. And why did I download this? I downloaded this for my 5-year-old. It was something for my 5-year-old to play. So basically, this review is a little bit outside my area in the fact that I'm not reviewing it for whether or not you would enjoy it. I'm reviewing it for whether or not it's a good idea to get your kid this. And a little bit of a shout out. The footage you're watching was all my kid, and I have no idea what it is. I set record while I was not in the room, so who knows what you're watching right now. But it was definitely Stella playing, so good luck to you. So let's just get into the pros and cons and get this one going. Pros. Number one, with a bullet. Every line in this game, every menu in this game is spoken. The voice of the titular kid, I don't know what his name is, reads everything off. When you switch from like start main mission to options, it reads options, and then main menu, and whatever it's going to, it reads to you, so you don't have to worry about your kid reading. In addition to that, all the plot points are very easily spelled out, and everything has a tutorial that is simple and straightforward, and again, read to you by a voice actor. I cannot state how wonderful this is. I know I still haven't done the review, but new Pokemon Snap, another game that I feel is developed basically and aimed at children, has just a buttload of text. So, like, if you can't read, you're immediately out of luck unless your dad is there to read it to you. So, that right off the bat, great. This game can immediately be accessible even to a 5 year old who is still just now learning to read. That being said, let's move to the next pro, and that's accessibility. My kid had no problem understanding how to play this game, and while there were a couple of parts that she needed help with, which we will get to in the cons, none of them were for lack of understanding, save one or two. And once I quickly explained to her what she needed to do, she was able to figure it out. It is not a complicated game, but it still is engaging enough that she's not going to get bored of it. She's actually gone back to it multiple times since that first day that we played it, which I like. I like the fact that there's nothing too intimidating or overcomplicating about this game, but somehow they still manage to make it so that it's not too simple that she immediately gets bored of it. My next pro is the mini games. So one thing that's cool about this game is as you unlock the missions, you're only going to find 6 or 7, which we'll talk about later. But as you unlock them, as you do other stuff, you get these mini games that increase the amount that you can play and allow you to pick any pup in them. And there's one that's a dance rhythm game, another that's a collecting fruit runner type game, one that's a jump boat, or another one that's a swimming. So there's a lot of good stuff to do on the mini game side. However, there are some problems with the amount of content in this game, which we're about to get to. Let's go into the cons. All right, number one con with a bullet is the amount of content in this. Look, this game is simple. It was definitely simple to make. I'm not insulting it. It does what it needs to do correctly, but it was done in 4 hours. Like the entirety of the missions were done in 4 hours. I played with her for like two, and I would have to imagine that if I had continued to play with her, we would have done with it in another 30 minutes. The only thing that maybe slowed her up was the fact that she was playing alone and didn't quite understand game theory as well as I did. So, with that being said, like, how long can you really put a kid in front of this? There's no new missions. There's no new anything. The mini games are fine, but they're gonna get bored of the mini games. There's not, and personally, I don't think Stella is going to continue to go back to those missions specifically with the goal of collecting more stuff. So while she has played it multiple times, again, I would have liked there to be actually some content to this, especially with how simple this game is to make. What would have really taken them to make a couple of extra missions for this? Keeping with that, my next con is the selection of the pups. And I know this is getting a little into it, but one thing that immediately irritated Stella upon playing is she couldn't play her favorite pup, which is Sky, the flying pink one. Right off the bat, you only get two pups, which is the recycling one and the boulder crushing one, I think, Rubble and Rocky. And then the second level is also them. Then it starts to expound on other pups, but I mean, there's like 13 pups. So you really don't get to play your favorite pup in this. And let's face it, if you're 5, you want to play your favorite. That's what you want to do. And I'm not necessarily against the way they decide to design this game. I like that they kind of make you play everyone, but Sky is only used in one, whereas you're using two of these in two of them, and then another one later. Like, you know what I mean? Like, make more missions, give every one of the pups 2 missions, something like that to look forward to. It really bummed Stella out that she had to, like, really get farther in the game to even see her favorite pup. So I can't imagine that other kids, unless they really like Rubble or Rocky, are going to be excited about that. So they really needed to have more mission content in this. All right, my final con is a very specific one. So the way the game works, like I said, is you're collecting, running and jumping and collecting these bones until you get to certain areas. Each one of these certain areas has a mini game that's specifically designed for one of the pups you're playing or one of the pups that's with you or whatever. Now, these mini games are each a different like button combination, such as there's one where you have to drag a boulder and it's just tap A lot. There's another one where you have to like lift a boulder and it's like move and a button and move and a button and a move and a button. So it's very simple. It's very easy for a 5-year-old to understand. With that being said, one of the mini games is the circle the analog thing, like circle it around and just keep rotating it. For whatever reason, they made this incredibly tough, just this mini game. You have to do it full rotation, not missing or coming in at all, and you have to do it really fast. The exactness that they made this and the amount of speed that they made it that you had to get was hard for me. I was having hand cramps, and I am an experienced, long-time gamer with big adult hands that can do that. I would ne'er say it's impossible for a 5 year old's thumb to do that with an analog enough to actually pass these parts, which was irritating. It meant that I had to come down for those parts to actually do it for her. And this isn't a coddling thing, it's literally the way it was. It would be physically impossible for Stella to have accomplished these mini games, which really irritated me in a game where they very obviously put so much thought into making it accessible to younger children. Why would you put a mini game in that was so exact and so tough and had so much resistance that it would have been physically impossible for the 5 year old to play? So, whatever, I think that was, whatever the case may be, I think that was a huge misstep, and it's probably my biggest con other than the lack of content here. Now, the final segment of every review, this one's a little bit hard to do, whether or not I'm going to stick with it. Well, I'm not going to stick with it. It's definitely not for me. While I did find it mundane and very simple, I will say I didn't hate playing it with Stella. It was something that we could both at least enjoy, and it wasn't a complete and total waste of my time. That being said, I don't plan on playing this ever again, but she enjoys it, and she is going to keep going back to it and playing it, which is nice. So yeah, we're gonna say yes. Stella is probably gonna stick with it. So I guess that's kind of a half answer. I know this is a super weird review, guys. Like I said, if you're a dad with a young child, a dad who's into Paw Patrol, something like that, this is a game for them. They might really get into this, and this is definitely a great entry level video game for kids young and kind of pre-reading who may be interested in games but not quite have the faculties to really play the good ones, or the more adult ones. This is one that will give them that adult feel without being too hard or too impossible. That's definitely made for them. So if you have that young kid and you want to see if they like games, or they're interested in games and you want to give them something to play, or they're just into the Paw Patrol, this is definitely the game for them. So hope this helps some dads out there. Again, if you're a hardcore gamer who doesn't have a kid and you're like, why did you do this? Sorry, got to do a couple ones for different audiences, trying to switch it up here every once in a while. And in any case, either way, you can tell me in the comments below whether you like this or hate this or disagree or whatever. You can also contact us on Facebook at OldManGamingDH, on Twitter at OldManGaming9. You can join our Discord, links in the description below. Influence us in all of our shows from there. Give me a request. You know I can do it as long as I can find it. And as long as you guys keep watching, listen, I'll keep making them. See you guys next time.